top table, my fellow Toastmasters and guests. September 1984 was a lot of firsts for me. It was the first time I was on an airplane. It was the first time I left the island of Ireland, and it was the first time I was in London. I was going over to my Aunt Bridie and her husband Matt. With me was my sister Joan. I was there for 5 days, and I packed in as much in 5 days as most people would pack in a fortnight. And it was to tell you everything that we did in that few days. I'd be here to next Christmas. But I can tell you, when I first landed in London, it was a culture shock to me. You can imagine, I'm from Crohan, 500 people. London, 5 million people. So over the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you 3 different stories of what happened. The first one was we went to Tower Bridge. Tower Bridge was celebrating its 200th birthday, and we're doing tours of the bridge. For all I know, they could still be doing it now. I remember rushing into the foyer, and the first question I was asked, could I speak English? And it was a bit bold of the day, and I said, Ní Higgin. I might be speaking Klingon. But after a few minutes, I said, yes, I could speak English. The tour started, from start to finish, it was fantastic. When near the tail end of the tour, we're brought into this big dark room, and we're told we're in practically the bottom of the bridge. And when the bridge goes up, the big weights for ballast will come down here. So it couldn't stay too long in case a boat will come along and they'd have to open the bridge, and that happened. Would be crushed into small little pieces. All of a sudden, the room went dark. The tour guide disappeared, and heard this big, loud horn going off. And I seen this thing come down, which looked like a big rock. I grabbed Joan's hand as my sister, and I said, is this the end? Turns out it was a big jumper car, but it had me going. So my sister gave me a dig in the ribs and said, you got your back for a bit of Irish. The second part was, I went to my first Premiership match with my first cousin, Mike. QPR was playing Man City. Would be the first teams I would have picked to go to see Premiership, but it was only teams that were playing that weekend in London. It wasn't a very exciting match. I was supporting City. The only reason I was doing that was because Niall Quinn and Chris Hughton were playing for City at the time. And the only thing I can really say about the game is I've seen the most weirdest goal I've ever seen in my whole entire life. The goalkeeper, the QPR goalkeeper, had the ball and he was about to kick it out from the ground. And he was miscued because it went to one side and it hit off the head of one of the Man City's strikers' heads and went back just as quick into the back of the net. For the record, the match finished 2-1 in favour of Man City. So I was reasonably happy enough in that. The third story I want to tell you about was I wanted to go to Wembley Stadium, but Wembley at the time did not do tours. So my uncle Matt said, we'll go to the Dogs. Apparently back at that stage, I don't know if they still do it, they did greyhound racing in Wembley Stadium. There were 7 of us went, and the Aunt Bridie, Matt, Joan, their daughter, Matt's Brady's daughter, Bernadette, and 2 friends of Bernadette. We went in there. You have to imagine Wembley Stadium holds 100,000 people. There was about 2,000 or 3,000 people there. You'd hardly see them. We decided we'd do a pool system. The 6 of us would put a pound in the breech dog and we'd in the pool and we'd pick the winner, or try to pick the winner. There was 12 races. Out of the 12 races, I did 8. And I told everyone, which was the truth, that I was never a greyhound race in my life. But at the end of the night, I had won 6 races out of 8. So my cousin's English friend was getting very suspicious. this Irish lad coming over, taking all their money. So to settle things down, went to the pub, and I thought the first round, what can I say more about my trip to England? It always was my favourite holiday, maybe because it's the first time I was outside of Ireland. But just as I'm finishing up, I remember last night I was in Bridie's house and I said goodbye to them, and I said, sure, I'll see you next August. Unfortunately, that never happened because Bridie passed away following July. So it taught me something very important. Never, ever let an opportunity go by, because you might never get that opportunity again. So when you get an opportunity, grab it by your two hands and run away with it. That's about it. And I hope you enjoyed the speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, and especially Charles. Thank you, Charles, for giving us a very entertaining speech on evaluation and feedback in that project. And you entertained us by having such a good structure, by telling us about your time in London, your first trip abroad, and how excited you were. The structure of the speech was good because you gave us 3 examples. You told us about your time visiting the Tower Bridge and what ensued there. Then you told us about your visit to the Manchester City match, as you followed Manchester City. And then you went to the dogs to complete your story. Very enjoyable. I liked the way you used your hands. You were throwing and throwing with the hands. You went from 500 to 5 million. You demonstrated that very well. I would like to give you some recommendations that I think might enhance your speech further. When you were talking about the goalkeeper that was making a silly kick, maybe you could have demonstrated a little bit of footwork there to add to your presence. Your camera angle, I think, was a little bit off. You were looking down. So if you could, for future speeches, maybe raise your camera a little bit and look straight at the camera rather than looking down on it. It would enhance your speaking stance further. And what I liked about this speech, while it was entertaining and you gave us all the examples, you had a very strong message at the end. Now, I would recommend that maybe you could have dwelt on this message a little bit longer and maybe told it a little bit more or expanded on it, which was a very strong message. Never let an opportunity pass. Now, I'm sure there might be other examples you could have given as well, just to strengthen that, and it would make the speech, you would connect even more with your audience by expanding on that one. But all in all, I thought it was a most enjoyable speech. You have great potential as a speaker, and I'm sure I will enjoy many speeches from you in the future. Thank you.